This is the Aftermarket Radio Network.
Welcome, Speak Up listeners. Speak Up Effective Communication is the show on the Aftermarket Radio Network aimed at developing our communication and leadership skills. I'm your host, Craig O'Neill, and with me today, once again, is friend of the show, friend of mine, Evan Wisner. Evan, thanks for being here with me.
Thanks for having me, Craig.
Absolutely. Now listen, Evan is here as a guest again because I get to see Evan share his wisdom fairly regularly at our home Grand Rapids Toastmasters Club 404. If you're ever in Grand Rapids on a Tuesday night, you'll have to visit us. And Evan did now 2 weeks in a row. You did the Educational Minute. And by the way, folks, the Educational Minute is sometimes longer than 1 minute. That's okay. The topic was on the fear of public speaking, something we talk about a little bit here on this show. We need to talk about a little bit more. We have a term for it. It is glossophobia, the fear of public speaking. But what was so impactful from Evan is his expertise in counseling, an EQ expert himself. I think, Evan, you brought a lot of your expertise into this topic. That's why I want to go into it. You went right to the roots of why it's such a pronounced fear. And yeah, thanks for joining me, man.
I'm happy to talk more about things I like talking about.
Absolutely. No fear of speaking about this at all. But let's hear more from Evan after we hear a word from our sponsors who make this show possible. Ready to elevate your shop? Join the 2025 Institute Summit in sunny Amelia Island, Florida. You'll see unmatched speakers, actionable insights, and exclusive networking. For more information, visit wearetheinstitute.com/summit. Your partner in technology, AutoFlow is able to enhance your client interactions before, during, and after the visit from a single thread. To see how AutoFlow makes it simple, visit AutoFlow.com. Are you tired of juggling multiple tools to manage your auto repair shop? Say goodbye to the chaos and hello to streamlined efficiency with AutoLeap, the #1 all-in-one auto repair shop management software. With AutoLeap, you can sell more, save precious time, and delight your customers with every interaction. Your trusted companion, ShopDog Marketing, is right by your side, attracting the best customers and building long-term growth. Call ShopDog Marketing today or visit shopdogmarketing.com. Unlock your communication insights with Inbound's AI-powered call analytics for auto repair shops. Learn more at callinbound.com. We're back, and we're here with Evan Wisner, my friend from Grand Rapids Toastmasters Club 404, and we are speaking about the fear of public speaking. Now, Evan, I heard the statistic on this is 76% of all people have the fear of public speaking, glossophobia, 76%.
I would say that is probably very accurate for like people who are like, yeah, they will do anything they can to avoid it. That they actively have that fear of public speaking is most people. I definitely feel that. But I would say like, I don't think I've ever met someone who didn't feel that fear and feel that anxiety, but their preparedness to handle it allowed them to speak very well and to speak their truth well. But it doesn't mean that they weren't experiencing that fear and then they weren't engaging with it.
Yeah, there's the funny Jerry Seinfeld stand-up routine where he talks about the fear of public speaking and that most people are afraid of it. And that must mean that the person up there giving the eulogy would rather be the person in the casket. Because it is a fear that people have that is greater than even the fear of death. And I think that's funny.
I've heard more people say that they're afraid of public speaking than of like falling off a cliff or heights or like any of those. Yeah, they'd rather go skydiving than public speak, you know?
And we've witnessed this a few times, actually many times, Toastmaster members that find their way into our club and they're there the first time and sometimes they don't know they're going to have to introduce themselves as we go around the room. And even that, the symptoms start to show. And those symptoms are elevated heart rate, sometimes sweating, just shaking, nervousness, quivering in the voice is obvious. People will turn red with rash. One of our newer members begins to get very flush when she's speaking, and that's something she's hoping to avoid in the future through practice, of course. And I don't know about you, Evan, but I think you probably do share this. That's actually become one of my favorite things about Toastmasters is watching people conquer that fear as they continue to show up.
I definitely recognize that you can really judge someone's progress, like have a good evaluation of someone's progress on the general confidence that they show up with more often. So like the more confident they are, the more assertive, the more really in their speech, prepared. And like the anxiety, the fear, all of that stuff is far less or not recognizable at all, depending on how the accomplished level of the speaker.
Yeah, I've seen it the other way around too, Evan, where a lot of times the preparation work that goes into it, they've built up their nerves even more in that whole time leading up to this thing. It's a whole different scenario in that regard. But look, you talked about the root of the fear when you were giving your educational minute. And I'd love for you to go into some more detail on what you have found in that.
Well, thank you, Greg. When we had discussed this, I'm like, yeah, I wish I had more time to talk. And you're like, I've got the venue for you. And I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
The fear of public speaking is not the fear of public speaking. The fear of public speaking is fear of rejection. It is a social evolutionary trait. So like we developed this as human beings culturally because we formed into groups for survival. And we are more successful in groups for survival. So the fear of public speaking is really the fear of being rejected by the group, saying the wrong thing and having the group reject you. And I mean, worst case scenario, that, like turn into an angry mob and like, go the complete opposite of what you want. And so that is a fear that is just innate in the human experience of not being accepted into the group.
Yeah, early human societies.
And so there's a moment during public speaking. It doesn't matter how accomplished you are. It doesn't matter how good you are at public speaking. It doesn't matter how prepared you are. It doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. Like that fear creeps in. It's this moment of like awareness. You have the awareness that like I could say something wrong and it could go very badly for me. And at its core, the fear is I could say something wrong and this group could reject me and that would impact my survival and I would die. So there's a moment where your brain freaks out and goes, if I say the wrong thing, I'll die. Like that's real. That's like a real experience that like you feel. How you choose to experience that and then move through it is like really where great speakers begin. I would definitely say it's a good point of how are you facing that? I talked a little this past week about leaning into it. One of the aspects of fear is that you have to decide what to do with that energy. You have to first acknowledge it. So like a lot of times you get up there, right? You're feeling it, the experience, exactly what I'm talking about. This like deep rooted evolutionary fear that just popped out of nowhere. You feel it, but then like, what do you do with it? How do you respond out of that feeling? For me, I've always said you lean into it because physiologically, the way that you experience anxiety and the way that you experience excitement are physiologically almost the same. That your body, your brain, everything that is going on is basically exactly the same. The only thing that is different is your perspective. Is this something, there's an unknown. And so you're having like, there's like this elevated, I don't know what's going to happen. And then anxiety says, I don't know what's going to happen and I'm afraid it's going to be bad, And excitement says, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm excited to find out. And like with speaking, instead of being afraid of speaking, lean into it and be excited to speak, excited to take on this challenge, right? You're really going to, I'm going to stand up. I'm going to do a difficult thing that everybody's afraid of, right? At their core, like everybody doesn't like doing this. I'm going to get up there and I'm going to crush it. I'm going to get up there and I'm going to speak brilliantly. I'm going to talk my truth. I'm going to speak well. And if you come at it from that perspective, then you're leaning into the perspective energy of what could go well, what could go right, and leaning away from the energy of what could go wrong. And so you're more likely to find what will go right. You're more likely to speak in flow. You're more likely to speak in a good tone with the correct gestures and those things because you're looking for them. That is what I encourage a lot of people to do. The first week, I mentioned taking a breath. I've just been speaking for a while, obviously right there. So like taking a breath, I tell everybody the first thing that every speech should start the same way, which is taking a deep breath. Take a breath. And like sometimes it's like you take your breath on your way up. Sometimes it's when you get to the podium. It's whatever obviously is right for you. But I highly encourage people to like take that deep breath, to calm yourself down, allow yourself that moment. You have that time and you have that space. And then from there, you can choose to let the anxiety go and lean into the excitement. And that breath gives you the moment. It's like a choice moment, a decision point in how you're about to speak. And like that, I have found for myself and my own speaking to be wildly effective.
We saw it the other day, and we saw 2 icebreaker speeches. The first speech a new member gives to the clubs. It was so cool. And you had given the educational minute, you had demonstrated that breath, and we saw them do that as they got up there. And that was such a perfect educational minute to see people apply it immediately like that.
I'm glad it was useful.
I know. It's perfect. That doesn't happen all the time that way. But yeah, you mentioned the fear of rejection. You mentioned leaning into it. And one of the things that I recall you saying very clearly is that you do acknowledge that fear and ground yourself in that breath.
So like there's like the fear that comes from your preparedness and like your readiness to speak. So like if you're about to speak on something you've not prepared for, you know nothing about, and like you just found out 5 minutes before, that like you're going to have a different kind of anxiety and stress and like fear response. But like even on top of that, is this other one, is this underlying fear of rejection of speaking. Because on the small scale, that's exactly what it is like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get up there. I know nothing about this. I'm going to screw up and it's going to impact my job, a relationship, how I'm perceived, my reputation. Like it could cost you money. There's any number of like real world consequences that can come out of it. And there's a piece of it that is just going to be there, right? It's that underlying sociocultural fear of rejection. And so you have to acknowledge that part. Even if you're fully prepared, even if you don't have any of those other things to worry about and you're ready to go, you have to acknowledge that, acknowledge that this fear is valid, that like it's valid, that's real. I could really screw up. I could really do something. But then you temper it with like the reality of your situation. Especially like I was talking about at Toastmasters, right? At Toastmasters, you're expected to screw up. It's a public speaking organization. And so like you're expected to make mistakes. And so there's no real fear of rejection. It's still there. Like you still feel it, but you can temper it with like, oh no, that's why I'm here. I can say dumb things. I can give a terrible speech. I can screw it up and it doesn't have any lasting impact. In fact, that's the point, right? That's the point, is to do it.
You've already acknowledged and accepted the fact that you're going to receive feedback for this, and some of it is going to be constructive. There are things you already know that you're going to mess something up, and that's okay. You're going to hear the feedback so you can make changes to it later and practice it again. And that's a beautiful thing. Yeah, we talk Toastmasters all the time on this show. So this is, people, if they haven't checked it out by this point, I don't know what you're waiting for. It's just a fun way to keep the practice in place. Now, here's the thing. You talk about your focus. You said, what is your focus? And you talked 2 very specific things. You talked excitement and you talked anxiety, and it is our perspective on that. And I think focus has a lot to do with our perspective, because a lot of times I have made this mistake. And I talked with one of my friends in previous episode here, Kent Bullard. Like when I feel the most nerves is when I'm concerned about my performance more than I'm concerned about the message that I'm delivering and the impact that I hope it has on the people for their benefit. If you're up there first for your survival, like that's a problem, right? If you shifted that to being excited about sharing the thing that you are uniquely qualified to share from your experience, oh, that should change it greatly. And I think that helps to remove a lot of that anxiety. And when you will perform your best is when you actually exit your mind and start thinking of the other people. And that should make you excited versus anxious. I think we talked in my recent episode on reframing. I'm never excited about the holidays. My first feeling towards them initially, anxiety. A lot of people. The holidays used to be easier, but as families grow and expand and do weird things, they sometimes get harder, and you worry about the feelings of other people and if this is going to make someone else happy or sad, and that creates pressure and stress and all these things. And I just laid it out. I mentioned this in my table topics the other day. I broke it down into 3 phases of the holidays, and we did an episode on this. You have gratitude, giving, and growth. Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's, for that growth and expansion. And you can literally reframe your mindset as you go into face and acknowledge your fear, and then realize it's not just about you. It's not just about you. And that helps you reframe things a little bit better for yourself so you can actually lean into that fear. I thought that was great because as I was processing these thoughts myself, you were delivering this educational minute. And that's just, it's perception. It's the frames that we're looking at, our view of things.
Synchronicity.
Yes. But speak my truth and speak it well. That was your line on this stuff. The ability to be able to do that is paramount. You mentioned like this tribal stuff.
That's what everybody wants.
I hope.
That's like the fear is that I'm going to be misunderstood or I'm going to share the wrong thing. And so like what you want is to speak your truth. This is my truth. And you've spoke it in such a way that it is understood. Even if it's not accepted, it's understood. And like, that's what everybody wants. They want to be able to speak their truth and to speak it well. Because you can speak a truth poorly and then it doesn't go very well for you.
Well, and you got to remember the inverse of that statistic, Evan. The other side of that statistic, 76% of people being afraid was, all right, 24% of people are not afraid at all of getting up and speaking whatever they want.
When sometimes they should be.
Yes, it might not be a truth.
I know, I've been that person.
Oh, heck yes. I think we all have spent time as that person.
Well, I was like, why didn't somebody tell me to shut up? Like, why did I keep talking? Yeah, for sure.
What sets the best shops apart? It's their commitment to growth. At the 2025 Institute Summit, you'll learn from industry-leading speakers, participate in powerful breakouts, and discover the secrets to standing out in today's competitive landscape. February in Amelia Island, Florida is where you need to be. Reserve your spot now at wearetheinstitute.com/summit. Don't miss out on rubbing shoulders with the best in the industry. It's time for today's Suck Less Spotlight from AutoFlow. Today's spotlight is on advisor eye twitches. Listen, clients like to stay informed throughout the repair process, and studies indicate clients are most satisfied receiving text updates versus phone calls. But call you they will, interrupting everything from estimating to quality conversations and your game of solitaire. That is, unless you text them first using AutoFlow. With AutoFlow's automated text updates, your phone only rings for the right reasons. That way, with less phone interruptions, your eye twitch will definitely suck less. For this and more things that could suck less, visit AutoFlow.com. Say goodbye to the chaos and hello to streamlined efficiency with AutoLeap, the #1 all-in-one auto repair shop management software. No more headaches, no more wasted hours, just smooth operations and happy customers. But hey, don't take our word for it. Experience the magic for yourself. So what are you waiting for? Head over to AutoLeap.com and book a demo today. Let AutoLeap revolutionize the way you do business. Do it all with AutoLeap. AutoLeap, where efficiency meets excellence. AutoLeap is by your side every step of the way. Ready to boost your auto repair shop's success? ShopDog Marketing is here to help you. We put customers first using AI to create standout content that ranks. Harness the power of mobile first and voice search and let our expert team help you sweeten your revenue with more car count. ShopDog Marketing offers a free guide on using AI to drive more repair orders. Get your guide today and watch your auto repair shop thrive. Visit shopdogmarketing.com. Every professional auto repair shop needs a trusted communication partner. At Inbound, our established VoIP platform is backed by years of industry experience, guarantees reliable connections, and is combined with cutting-edge AI-powered analytics. We deliver actionable insights that support your business growth. With Inbound, you get more than just calls. You get a smarter, more efficient operation. Get Inbound on your team today and see how we can transform your business. Visit callinbound.com.
There's a couple of things that you said that they like ticked off things in my brain. The first one is you said that when you get up there, you're not worried about what you're going to say, but more like how you present it, like how you're going to appear. Is that correct?
We look at this sometimes in the club where, a lot of the speaking contests, especially, that's hard because it feels like you have to perform certain things. And that's a different thing than a speaking engagement where you're trying to convey a very clear message, right? And the nerves are different in both of those cases. So if you're concerned about your performance as a speaker versus the message that you're there to deliver, yeah, the nerves are going to be there. That's the point.
And then you're saying about moving through it. there is a cultural, I would say, perception of moving past things or rising above, like some sort of separation. And when it comes to emotions, in my experience, there's no wrong way to learn how to deal with your emotions. So, like, I want to say that right up front. But one of the things that can be incredibly important is not learning how to rise above fear. It's learning how to accept it. It's learning how to not, this isn't something I need to push away. So are you a pop culture fan?
No, I'm terrible at pop culture trivia type things, if that's what you're asking.
How about movies? Did you see Dune?
Oh, Dune is great. So it's sci-fi, brother. Sci-fi all day.
So Dune's brilliant.
It is.
It was written by Frank Herbert, like,
Yep, Frank Herbert.
way back. I don't want to like misquote, but it was a while ago. And I want to say it's 60s or 70s, but like it was brilliant. And I, as a kid, read that as a kid. I read all of them. I read like all of the Dune books when I was a kid. And one of the things that I took from it, and I didn't even realize how useful it was until like very recently in my life, where I have started incorporating it more frequently, is Frank Herbert's Litany Against Fear.
Oh, beautiful. I know this.
In the books and in the movies, it is a meditative mantra, a ritualistic practice that is used to hone the individual towards their task so that fear does not overcome them. In Dune, obviously, it's kind of like it allows them to withstand pain and to access their deep energy and their powers and the mysticism that accompanies, that entire narrative. What I have found is that it is quoting that is a great mantra. And I used to do it all the time as a kid because I just thought it was this cool thing. And then I kind of stopped for a while. And then I brought it back. So if you'd like, I can tell you what the mantra is. I have it memorized because I say it all the time. I say that now I'll probably like screw it up and say it wrong because I do that all the time too, because I have ADHD. But I use it as like, there are times where I'm experiencing fear or I'm experiencing a rush of emotions and I'm not sure about a lot of them. And that unsuredness feels like fear, feels like there is some kind of thing that I need to deal with. I start quoting this mantra, either out loud if the situation calls for it, or in my head. Like I do it all the time. And sometimes when I'm bored, I just do it so that it becomes instinctual.
Nice. All right. So Frank Herbert's Litany Against Fear.
I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will allow it to pass over me and through me. And when the fear has gone, I will turn the inner eye on its path. And when the fear has gone past, there will be nothing. Only I will remain.
Frank Herbert's Litany Against Fear. Read by Evan Wisner.
So like the whole thing is I must not fear. So like do not engage. You can feel it. It's going to wash over you. You're going to experience it, but you do not have to choose it. I must not fear. I must not engage with it. You can feel the fear. You're experiencing it. Like I told you, the 90-second rule is that when any emotion you have for 90 seconds before it even gets to the parts of your higher brain that allow you to like process and like decide what to do with it. You just have to sit in it and allow that process to continue. And the litany allows you to do it. So I must not fear. Don't engage. Fear is the mind killer. And it's true because when you get afraid, that's when you start making mistakes. You start second guessing yourself. You hesitate. You wait a little too long. You don't make the things that you would have done. You slow down because you're worried about something. This fear is taking the time and the energy and the effort that you were going to give to something else. And then I will face my fear. So like to me, I visualize it. I see it as like an emotion that's rushing at me, almost like I'm on a road and it's just like this, whatever. A lot of times like emotions appear as colors sometimes. So like whatever that emotion, a lot of times fear is black or gray or dark, right? I see it and it's rushing at me. I'll face my fear. I will allow it to pass over me. And you can feel it just going like and through me, like it hits you and you experience fear viscerally in the moment and then it passes. I will face my fear. I will allow it to pass over me and through me. And when the fear has gone past, I will turn the inner eye, your mind's eye, on its path. So I feel it. It rushes, it hits me, and it's gone out the back. I've allowed it to pass through me. And now I can turn my mind and look behind me at where the fear has now gone. I turn the mind's eye on its path. And where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. And that's the reminder, is that like, you don't have to accept it. You can allow it to pass through you. But like, you do have to practice that. You have to practice sitting and being uncomfortable. This is incredibly embarrassing, and it just happened. So my fiance, her mom has cancer, and we've been spending a lot of time together, like doing a lot of extra things. And one of the things we decided to do like this past weekend was have everybody over for a Hallmark movie night. And like, we just said that it was like finding Christmas movies and like everybody just watching them. We watched Jingle All the Way. And if you haven't seen it, it is a terrible, great Christmas movie. And I highly recommend it. We watched it and everyone's like, okay, so now what are we going to watch? And then we got into that. Oh, well, what about this? I don't want to watch this. And everybody's like, all right, what app should we get on? Our Disney? And we're like everybody's looking through Netflix and Disney. And it had been about 20 minutes of like people trying to figure out like, what do we want to watch for this next movie? I kind of just like impulsively was like, hey, what about Spirited? And they're like, what? And I was like, yeah, it's the Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell movie on Apple TV. I remember it was really good. It's like a musical, like it's like upbeat and everything. They're like, nobody had really known of it, like seen it or remembered it. So they were like, yeah, sure. Okay, we'll do that. So I go to Apple TV, bring it up. So we're watching the movie. And I don't know how much you guys know about the movie or the plot of this movie, but one of the key things that occurs in this movie is that the main character's sister has cancer and dies from cancer, and he doesn't deal with it, and he has to face that. And it is literally like the pivotal focus of the entire movie is on a lady dying of cancer.
Kind of on the nose, isn't it?
And I forgot that.
Oh.
I totally forgot that, like, that was the point of the movie.
Oh, no.
The worst part is it's like a scene comes up where it's like happening and he rejects it and he like runs away. And it's like in the middle of the movie. And I remember watching that and being like, oh no, I have to sit here for an hour and just wait for this to be like resolved and concluded, because I've like brought this like really uncomfortable, like that's why everybody was trying to forget. And I'm like running all these scenarios in my head. I'm like, oh my God, they must hate me. And I'm just sitting there like, why did I do this? Like, why did I pick this? And I remember like, I did two things. I was like, one, I was like, okay, what am I feeling right now? And I was like, not good. Like, this is so uncomfortable. Yeah, like not good. All of these thoughts are like, I was like, oh, what if they get really upset? What if I, it may make it worse, or, like it's like a downer and it ruins the evening. And I'm just like sitting there and I'm like, okay, I am just going to sit in this experience. I'm just going to allow myself to feel it. And I did. And I was just like, this doesn't feel good. I was just like, I have to wait an hour of this uncomfortable feeling until the movie concludes and they wrap everything up. And at one point, I was just like, I wanted to say, like, I'm sorry, I didn't know what this was. But I was like, don't. That's a fear response. And so I sat and I ran through Frank Herberts' Litany Against Fear and allowed the fear that what I had done was going to be bad pass through me. I allowed that anxiety, that fear, like it was definitely uncomfortable and not the best choice, but I allowed that to pass through me. I allowed the entire experience to pass through me. And so I just sat there and like waited, and I'm like, I'm just going to wait until I'm done. Well, it turns out that like her dad fell asleep, so he didn't even see it anyway. Her brother had already seen it, so he kind of already knew that was a part of it. And I was like, way to warn me, thanks. Her mother had sat through the whole thing and watched the whole thing. And she gets to the end and she's like, that was good. I really liked it. And I'm like, oh God. Like, I'm just like, like, I'm just like, oh, relief city. But like the whole time when it came up, like my partner, she turned and she looked right at me and she was like that, why did you pick this movie look? And then she just kept looking at me like that for like the next hour. But like it all worked out. I had to sit in the discomfort. I had to sit in that anxiety and that fear, but I didn't want to respond out of it. I didn't want to make it worse or to not allow it to be whatever it needed to be. And so I allowed myself to calm down, to allow the fear of that to pass through me and to just experience it as it was. And it worked out. That like, if I probably would have made it worse. If I'd have said something, if I'd have done something, I probably would have made that situation way worse. Like by drawing attention to it, Interesting.
Because yeah, you're developing this entire time. You're imagining all of the things that other people might be feeling.
And I'm like, oh man, the whole point was it's supposed to be a distraction. And now it's like, that's all, all they're going to be thinking about. And I'm just like, oh God. And like Hannah's staring at me like, why did you pick this and stuff? And I'm just like,
well, where I thought this story was going to go, Evan, is that everyone else walked away and only you remained watching it.
No, they've watched it all the way. That was the thing, is that like the first hour of the movie.
Just a litany callback. That's all. Only I remain. Yeah.
Only I remain. Thank you. So yeah, I allowed that to pass over me for sure there, Craig.
That's the way most of my jokes go. It's all right.
And I'm glad that I had those skills and I have practiced that particular one and that I used it and it was effective.
In a way that most people wouldn't even think of, Ed, too. So it's interesting, though, because every time you have the fear of public speaking, like me and my boss, Chris, will be teaching a course on this titled Speak Up, Effective Communication at a conference called Vision. It's in Kansas City. That'll be later in early March. Looking forward to it. It's a ton of fun. And one of the things we did last year, where we did this kind of a speech workshop, the stage is reserved for the people in the audience, actually. They get to go up and give a speech in this class. So a lot of fun. But this isn't Lord of the Flies in this scenario. In the world, when you're in a spot where it's good to practice this skill, your peers aren't going to chew you up and spit you out. These are people that care about you, are all there on the same goal. And I think it's a worthwhile endeavor. Find that group of people and practice with that. But no, Evan, thanks so much for sharing this stuff with us on this topic. It's one that is going to come up regularly. The fear of speaking, whether it's an audience of one or audience of 1,000, it matters not. That anxiety that comes in from it is something that you can acknowledge, you can lean into it, and you can grow past it. Yeah, beautiful stuff. I love that you brought in that litany of fear, man. We need to bring more Herbert into these conversations. Absolutely.
Absolutely brilliant author. And like created such a fantastic universe.
Yeah, see, we could have tied this in with our conversation I did with my friend Dan Vance on the woes and pitfalls of AI, because as you well know in Dune, thou shalt not make thinking machines. Awesome. Evan, thank you so much for being here with me today. There is another topic that we're going to do. This is part one. Part two on one of our fears of public speaking has to do with another situation, imposter syndrome. But before we go for today, I just want to thank you, our listeners. If you do have questions for me or our guest, Evan, please reach out to me at speakup@craigoneil.net. That's O'Neill with 2 L's. We appreciate hearing from you on anything that helps, or we just want to learn what's helping you already, any topics that are interesting to you that you want to hear us speak about here, or a topic you want to speak up on yourself here on the show. And of course, remember to listen up on the other shows on the Aftermarket Radio Network. We have Carm Capriato's Remarkable Results Radio, Matt Fonslow's Diagnosing the Aftermarket A through Z, Hunt Demarest Business by the Numbers, Brian and Kim Walker's The Auto Repair Marketing Podcast, and Chris Cotton's Weekly Blitz. But once again, thank you to the sponsors who make this show possible. We greatly appreciate your journeying with us on our mission to help people find their voice. As always, before you go out there and speak up, listen up right here. Thank you.
You've been listening to Speak Up, Effective Communication with Craig O'Neill on the Aftermarket Radio Network. Follow Craig on your favorite podcast listening app and on his YouTube channel. Let him know what you'd like him to speak up about. Craig is all for advancing the automotive service aftermarket.